Let's now shift focus to Prime Minister Modi's latest appeal, the message to citizens in which he urged people to hold back on buying gold and travelling abroad and to save fuel, among other aspects. The message was simple and direct: to protect India's foreign exchange reserves and help the economy navigate a period of global uncertainty. The appeal also coming at a time when the ongoing Iran conflict has pushed up crude oil prices, increased pressure on the rupee, and triggered concern regarding India's import bill. And one of the biggest contributors to that import bill is gold. India's gold imports have now touched an all-time high. In 2025 to 26, India imported nearly $72 billion worth of gold, a massive 24% jump from the previous year. Just to put that in perspective, India imported $58 billion worth of gold in 2024 to 25. $45.5 billion in 2023 to 24, and just over $28 billion in 2019 to 20. So that's what the figures look like. So in just a few years, India's gold import bill has more than doubled. But here's the important detail: the value of the imports has also gone up sharply, even though the actual quantity of gold coming into India has fallen in volume terms. Gold imports dropped nearly 5% this year to about 721 tons. So why is India paying so much more? Due to the rising global gold prices that have surged. As the geopolitical tensions rise around the world, investors turn to gold as a safe haven asset. And in India as well, demand for gold typically rises during times of uncertainty. India is, after all, the world's second largest gold consumer after China. A large part of this demand also coming from the jewelry industry: weddings, festivals, household savings. But there's one major economic issue amid all of this. Gold is imported, and every single import is paid for in US dollars. And that's where the foreign exchange reserve aspect comes in. Forex reserves are essentially India's financial safety cushion, just to put this simply. They are held by the Reserve Bank of India in the form of foreign currencies, gold, IMF special drawing rights, and other foreign assets. These reserves help India pay for imports, manage currency volatility, and maintain global investor confidence. And right now, India's forex reserves standing at around $691 billion. They had touched close to $728 billion early this year, before falling back as global uncertainty intensified. At the same time, the IMF has projected that India's current account deficit could widen to about $84.5 billion in 2026. A widening current account deficit basically means India is spending more dollars on imports than it is earning through exports and other inflows. And when imports of items like crude oil and gold rise sharply, pressure on the rupee also increases. And that's why the Prime Minister's appeal is being seen as a major attempt to try and reduce non-essential dollar outflows. The idea is simple: if people buy less imported gold, travel less abroad, reduce fuel consumption, India can save precious foreign exchange. This, of course, is not the first time an Indian government has asked people to cut down on gold consumption. Back in 1967, during a severe foreign exchange crisis, then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi urged citizens not to buy gold in any form, calling for national discipline to stabilize the economy. And decades later, during the current account deficit crisis of 2013, then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh also warned that India needed to reduce its demand for gold to protect the economy. His government introduced import curbs, remember, and higher duties to discourage gold buying.
We need to reduce our appetite for gold, economize in the use of petroleum products, and take steps to increase our exports.
Morarji Desai, who was the finance minister during Jawaharlal Nehru's tenure and also the prime minister later, had pushed for strict gold control policies that basically limited private gold holdings. The control and policies was based on the belief that excessive gold consumption hurt national economic growth. So while governments may have changed over the years, the core concern here has remained the same. When India imports too much gold, it puts pressure on the country's dollar reserves. And that is why the Prime Minister's message on gold has struck the national chord. Switching focus, Russia has announced it has successfully tested a new nuclear-capable intercontinental ballistic missile, which it expects to deploy later this year. Russia has released footage of the test launch of its next-generation intercontinental ballistic missile. This is one of the most powerful nuclear weapons ever developed. The test was confirmed by General Sergei Karakeyev, chief of Russia's strategic missile forces. The Russian president congratulated the military on the test, saying that the missile's operational range can exceed 35,000 kilometers. Putin announced the intercontinental ballistic missile will be placed on combat duty at the end of the current year, following successful testing.
The
missile can travel not only along a ballistic trajectory, but also along a suborbital one. This, thirdly, makes it possible to ensure a range of more than 35,000 kilometers, while at the same time doubling its accuracy. Finally, it has the ability to penetrate all existing and future anti-missile defense systems. By the end of this year, Sarmat will indeed be placed on combat duty.
находящаяся на дежурстве 2017
Putin says that work on Poseidon and Burevestnik systems is in the final stages. Burevestnik, remember, is a nuclear-powered, unlimited-range cruise missile, while Poseidon is an underwater torpedo, both touted for their ability to evade current defense systems. Just for context, this intercontinental ballistic missile is one of the most powerful in the world, capable of carrying multiple nuclear warheads and hitting targets across vast distances, weighing over 200 tons. The missile has a range of 10,000 to 18,000 kilometers and can fly at a terrifying speed of 26,000 kilometers per hour. The nuclear-capable missile can also evade most modern anti-missile defense systems. The planned deployment of the missile, designed to deliver nuclear warheads to strike targets thousands of kilometers away in the United States or Europe, follows years of setbacks and delays. In the West, this Russian missile is called Satan II for a reason. Its warhead yield is 4 times greater than anything in the NATO arsenal. It is designed to punch through any existing missile defense system with ease. The missile test took place amid continuing international peace initiatives, with the U.S. advocating for a temporary ceasefire in exchange for easing sanctions on Moscow. The situation unfolded after a 3-day ceasefire announced by U.S. President Donald Trump last week, which expired over the weekend. And after the truce ended, the Russian Ministry of Defense stated that Russian forces had resumed military operations and claimed that they had intercepted over 100 drones in the previous 24 hours. And the political crisis has only intensified for the UK Prime Minister. Despite mounting pressure, Starmer has refused to quit his post. Instead, he pledged to prove his doubters wrong. After that crushing defeat in the local elections held last week, clamour has been growing for his ouster. 4 ministers of his cabinet have resigned. He earlier held a cabinet meeting at his official residence. This was earlier on Tuesday. He informed his cabinet that he intends to stay put. And as the meeting ended, Britain's Work and Pensions Secretary told the media that nobody from the cabinet has challenged Starmer's leadership. Starmer also reiterated that so far, nobody in the Labour Party has initiated the required process to challenge his leadership, but the pressure on him is only mounting. As a junior minister in the Housing and Communities Department has resigned from the government, the Safeguarding Minister, Jess Phillips, also resigned. And in her letter to Starmer, Phillips said she cannot continue as a minister under the current leadership. Starmer dealt further blow as Health Minister Zubair Ahmad resigned from his post as well, becoming the 4th cabinet member to step down amid the growing political turmoil. And in a sharply worded resignation letter posted on X, he said that it had become clear that the public across the UK had irretrievably lost confidence in the Prime Minister. Let's just tell you more about the leadership race that takes place in Britain's Labour Party. A leadership contest takes place under two scenarios: if an incumbent leader resigns, or 20% of the Labour MPs nominate a challenger. In the current British Parliament, any challenge to Starmer will require support from 81 Labour MPs, and reports say at least 84 Labour lawmakers have reportedly called for him to go. And on the contrary, 100 MPs have signed a statement in Starmer's support. So that's where things stand. Any challenging candidate should hold a seat in Parliament. Additionally, he or she will require support from 20% of the Labour MPs and 5% of the local constituency Labour parties or affiliated trade unions. And after that, Labour Party members and affiliated union supporters will vote to elect the new party leader, the post of Labour Party leader and Prime Minister being separate. But as the convention goes, both offices are held by a single person. Let's just also take a look at the list of possible candidates who could mount a leadership challenge to Starmer. First up is Rayner, who earlier served as Deputy Prime Minister under Starmer, but resigned, remember, after she was found guilty of breaching ministerial code. Another leader who could possibly launch a leadership challenge is Wes Streeting, currently serving as Health Secretary in Starmer's cabinet. Streeting has publicly denied his candidature to replace Starmer, but reports suggest that he might consider it. Next up is Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham. His candidature remains uncertain as he is not a member of Parliament, but the scenario could also change if he secures a parliamentary seat in a by-election. Another potential candidate could be Catherine West, who represents the Hornsey and Frenham Batten seat. She is one of the members of Parliament openly called for leadership change, in fact. In addition to a dismal performance in the recent local elections, polling numbers also suggest a grave political crisis for the Labour Party. Farage's Reform UK is polling at first position with 28% support across the country, and there is a tight race for the second place between the Conservatives, the Greens and the Labour. There is a 12 percentage point difference between the Labour Party and Reform UK. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.